Whoa. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try that one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to the Wrestle Love channel. This is the AEW reactions and results video live stream for AEW Worlds End. We've got the 0 hour, we've got the pay-per-view, we've got Pro Wrestling Guy 1995 from Instagram. Take it away, Austin Honecker.
Okay, for the pre-show, there was 3 matches. Match 1, it was Toni Storm versus Layla Gray. It was an awesome match. I like what they're doing with Toni Storm with the whole amnesia thing because it's making me think that she's going to do a split personality gimmick. But the ending to it, Toni Storm went over with a small package.
This was, to me, like I told Austin right after the match, I said this was a story-driven match because even with the commentary, some of the commentary was a little bit messed up because they were talking both about Timeless Toni Storm, which she just was back in August, and now she's back as Toni Storm, but at the beginning of her career. So, like Austin said, it's like a dual character. She's got amnesia, or Timeless Toni Storm is pretending to be Rockstar Toni Storm. We're not sure what it is yet. But the match was built to make her look like she was just starting her career. And so it wasn't like Toni Storm went out and just won with her finisher or won with a submission or move. She won with a roll-up. And there's a story there in the way she's talking. So follow along. It's getting interesting. The match was good. It was solid work, solid effort by both women. I give it at least an A minus, not an A plus. It was right on the level of A minus B plus. So it was. I'm not per se critiquing any of the in-ring work, but I'm saying there were still maybe some little nuances they could have sprinkled in, but it was solid. It was a solid effort, solid all around. So, with that being said, let's move on to the next match for 0 hour.
Well, before we move on,
okay.
I got to meet Toni Storm at WrestleCade back in November. She was in the Timeless Toni Storm gimmick, and she was in character the whole time. She was pretty cool. Now, match 2, it was Jeff Jarrett versus QT Marshall. Now, this match, it was pretty much 2 veterans going at it. They both told an awesome story. Now, there was some interference in the match because Aaron Solo tried to interfere when Jeff Jarrett had the sharpshooter in on QT Marshall, but Jay Lethal came out and evened the odds, and a brawl between Jay Lethal and Aaron Solo happened. Well, the ending to it, like I said, it was an awesome match, awesome storytelling, but the ending to it, Jeff Jarrett went over with the stroke.
Like Austin said, this was 2 veterans. They were out there doing what they love. Solid work. The pacing was so good. It was just a really. It wasn't like super slow, but it was the veterans' pace of we're not gonna get real rushed with what we're doing, and they did it. They did really. It was really good. Like he said, there was some interference, a little bit of wonky stuff, but it got done. It was some good work, and Jeff Jarrett went over. QT Marshall is doing some wonderful stuff on the 0 hours. Watch QT Marshall on the 0 hour. If he's doing anything on the 0 hour right now, it is some classic stuff. So after the match, there is an interview which.
Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt were interviewed, and Jeff Jarrett came out and said that he had a major announcement for AEW Dynamite Wednesday for the New Year's edition, and I'm thinking that Jeff Jarrett's going to be retiring, but we're not for certain yet. But if Jeff Jarrett does decide to retire from in-ring competition, it's well deserved because he's done a lot for the business. Hopefully, if he does retire, he'll work behind the scenes.
My take on his, I've got an announcement, is it creates speculation. It creates interest. Basically, it's a way to get people to tune in. They go, "Oh, Jeff Jarrett's going to make an announcement." Unlike the running joke for a while, Tony Khan's going to make a major announcement, which happened right at the beginning of AEW. It seemed like every 2 weeks he had a major announcement or major update for AEW, and it became a running joke or running gag. Unlike that, this feels like it could be something interesting. Like Austin said, his guess is retirement. It could be anything. It could be that he's going to challenge for a title, or he's going to specifically work for a Ring of Honor and just and not be not work in per se AEW. You never know what it could be. So with that being said, it could be, who knows. Just tune in, watch it. It's Jeff Jarrett. He does a lot of good stuff. He's been involved with wrestling for 30, 40 years now. So, I mean, come on. Just tune in and watch it. Enjoy it. So, what's next? We got the main event?
Yeah, the main event of the pre-show.
Main event of the pre-show, 0 hour.
Match 3, which was the main event, it was Lio Rush, Action Andretti, and the Murder Machines, which are Lance Archer and Brian Cage, versus Top Flight, which are Dante and Darius Martin, and the Outrunners, which are Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd in a 8-man tag team match. It was an awesome match. There was some dissension with the heels team, but sometimes shit like that happens with those kind of matches. But the end, like I said, it was an awesome match. But the ending to it, Lio Rush, Action Andretti, and the Murder Machines went over because Lio Rush pinned Dante Martin with the Frog Splash. Now, after the match, the dissension continued, but Private Party, which are Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, came out, and a stare down between Private Party and the team of Lio Rush and Action Andretti occurred because here soon Private Party are going to be defending the tag team titles against Lio Rush and Action Andretti on Collision.
The biggest story from that match was the dissension among the heels. It was good work, a lot of good stuff, a lot of action. But it seemed to be a basic 8-man. Nothing too exciting. Like you said, the stare down was after the match. It advances It advances the title picture, the tag team title picture a little bit. But yeah, that was the 0 hour, solid 0 hour.
Now, there was some interviews that happened with the 0 hour. Lexi Nair interviewed Layla Gray, and Layla Gray got all cocky and was talking about how she was going to beat Toni Storm and everything. And then there was an interview with Lexi Nair interviewing Toni Storm, and Toni Storm was doing the whole amnesia thing again and talked about how it felt great winning her AEW pay-per-view debut. But then Deonna Purrazzo she popped up and challenged Toni Storm to a match at Collision.
So we've got a match on Collision this coming week between Toni Storm, the rookie Toni Storm, and Deonna Purrazzo. So, but with that,
and also Lexi Nair interviewed QT Marshall as well, and QT Marshall got all cocky and was talking about how he was going to take out Jeff Jarrett and everything, and then he was aggravating Lexi Nair and got a selfie with her.
He's bringing the doom. Yeah. Anyways, that's QT Marshall's deal right now, which, okay, I get it. So we've covered the interviews. We've covered the matches on 0 hour. It's time to get to AEW Worlds End. We've got 8 matches on the card. Let's start with what? Match number 1. Austin Honecker, take it away.
Okay, match 1, it was, so for the main show, for match 1, it was Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. in a Continental Classic semifinal match. It was an awesome match. They both told an awesome story in the match. A lot of high spots were in the match as well, and they Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher have awesome chemistry together, especially from their days in New Japan. Now, like I said, it was an awesome match, but the ending to it, Will Ospreay went over with the Styles Clash.
Okay. There were 8 matches on this card, which I just said, and you want a good start to a pay-per-view. My goodness, this was a start. They went for 20 minutes, around 20 minutes, and I didn't know how. I didn't know how the rest of the pay-per-view was even going to go on, because they were already getting this is awesome chance during the first match. And Will Ospreay, I don't know if it was a worked cut or a real cut, but he got busted open, and he had the Crimson Mask. It was quite bloody. In fact, I was commenting about the ring mat, going, they have to change the mat. I hope they're changing the mat, because it got so bloody. There was blood speckled all over that mat, and I was like, if the health department came in and looked at that mat right after match 1, they would have said, "Show's over." Everyone, it was bad. But beyond the blood, it was a majorly good story. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay have went 1-1 on pay-per-view, because Kyle Fletcher won the last match between them. Will Ospreay won this match, and he basically, at the end of the match, because in real life they're real friends, but at the end of the match, Kyle looked just ticked, but Will Ospreay sat there on his knees going 1-1. So he basically acknowledged that they'd had a little bit of a rivalry already in AEW. So I don't know what to even describe for this match, because there was just so much going on. And like Austin said, he won with a Styles Clash. And some of the matches on this card, and I'm not even going to talk about them yet, I'm just going to kind of loosely mention them. You really didn't know when they were going to end, because they were really pushing the envelope tonight, because you kind of almost never knew when the end of the match was going to happen.
Yep.
And some of these matches just really had Austin and I on the edge of our seat. We're going, yeah, and Austin would go, "That's over," and I would go, "Nope, watch 2."
Yep.
And sure enough, it was 2.
Yep.
But it was still. There were a couple times where I was like, I was thinking Austin might be right. And I didn't say anything, but I was like sitting there holding my breath and going, "Oh," and then it was the almost 3, the kick out. I was like, and I just how are they going to end this? So if going forward, if you see me just kind of glowing here like I am about this match,
yep,
it's pretty much the whole card. The whole card really felt highly energetic tonight. So, yeah, Will Ospreay advanced to the finals. Good, solid A++ match. They really started off hot, coming in hot type of deal. So, all right, we've covered that. Match 2 was the Continental Classic.
Yep, match 2, it was Kazuchika Okada versus Ricochet in a Continental Classic semifinal match. Awesome match. Awesome match from start to finish. Now, the ending to it, Kazuchika Okada went over with the Rainmaker. Now, after the match, the crowd was throwing toilet paper at Ricochet, and then Swerve Strickland came out and added insult to injury, practically burying Ricochet, and then Prince Nana came out with a wagon full of toilet paper, and basically a lot of the toilet paper was thrown into the ring, and Ricochet was pissed, and Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana just went on about their business, insulting Ricochet.
The match, Okada, Ricochet, good match. I was already pegging there. I was like, there's no way right now that Ricochet is going to win the match. As much as I would like to have seen him win the match and then do something surprising or different, it wasn't the Continental Classic. So he lost, and like Austin said, there was some follow up because right now Ricochet's kind of in between things right now.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to go heel. There's a lot of people speculating it's not going to work for him. I'm saying it'll work in the group because Austin says he may be recruited by the Hurt Syndicate. So we will see. Like many things in professional wrestling, Ricochet put a check mark beside him for to be continued. Looks like him and Swerve are going to go at it sometime too. I don't know if that will lead to the Hurt Syndicate thing. It probably will.
Yep.
So, but the match overall, definitely I'm going to go B minus. It was a close, a solid effort by both guys. Not as hot coming in hot as the first match, but it was still a really wonderful match. So, with that being said, that ties up the Continental Classic. It sets the finals for Ospreay Okada later in the card. So, we get to the first match outside of the Continental Classic, match 3.
Okay. Match 3, excuse me. Match 3, it was Mariah May versus Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight for the AEW Women's title. The build-up to it was awesome. Now, the match itself, it was awesome. It delivered. It was a gimmick match for Thunder Rosa, basically, but both women went all in the match. They done a spot where Mariah May insulted Thunder Rosa's dad by taking his hat off and snatching his cane away from him, but it wasn't like too brutal, but it was brutal enough. Now, the ending to it, like I said, it was an awesome match, but the ending to it, Mariah May went over and retained the AEW Women's title with the Storm Zero off the apron onto a table.
We've already seen, in the first two matches, we already saw a lot of action. So, what could they do in this match to make it different? First of all, it was a women's match. That made it a little bit different. And second off, it was kind of like Street Fight rules. So they had a lot of different elements to play with, a lot of weapons, which they didn't use them too often or too frequently because there was still stuff to come. But they did use a pinata full of thumbtacks.
Yep.
Everybody's like, oh, there's candy in there. No, there were thumbtacks. And Thunder Rosa went into the thumbtacks like a champ. So as much as I may not be into her as per se a public figure or a person, I like her as a promoter and professional wrestler, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
I met Thunder Rosa at WrestleCade myself, and I had a good experience with her, but not everybody's going to experience things like I do. I'm not going to experience things like other people do. Yeah. But Thunder Rosa, she was nice to me when I met her, got a picture with her, talked with her a little bit. She was cool to me. All
perspective, but wrestling wise, I felt like this was even though most people that usually do some kind of gimmick match usually favors the person that made the match, but for Thunder Rosa in this case, it didn't help her. It ended up kind of hurting her, and Mariah May ends up retaining the title. Especially, I like the finish of going through the table. Doing the pile driver through the table, solid finish, solid win. At least a B match. I can't give them an A. I can give them a B because once again they started off so freaking hot with the first match and the second match, and they're the third match in, and they had to cool it off a little bit because I mean, there's only so many wrestling moves and so much you can do. So the women get a B right now, and that was the third match. We finally make it to what? The fourth match?
Yeah, match 4, it was MJF versus Adam Cole for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Now, the build up to this match, it's been going on for about a year or something like that. Well, Adam Cole and MJF used to have a tag team called Better Than You, Baby. And they were a dysfunctional team, then they ended up getting along, but then they ended up feuding because of the Devil storyline, and Adam Cole was revealed as the Devil. But that storyline went nowhere, and it stopped because both men suffered an injury. Well, they both returned, and the roles reversed because MJF was babyface, Adam Cole was heel, but they switched roles. Adam Cole was babyface, MJF was a heel. Now, the match itself, it was awesome. They told an awesome story in the match. Now, there was one point in the match because Matt Taven and Mike Bennett were there to watch the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but MJF pulled his heel shenanigans and slammed his head into the steel steps and told the referee that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven attacked him. So referee Bryce Remsburg ejected Matt Taven and Mike Bennett from ringside, and Adam Cole tried to cheat to win with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but MJF fought it off. And like I said, it was an awesome match, but the ending to it, MJF went over and retained the Dynamite Diamond Ring with the Heat Seeker. Now, after the match, Roderick Strong came out, MJF retreated, Kyle O'Reilly came out and threw MJF back into the ring, and all three men, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, all attacked MJF and laid him out, and then Matt Taven and Mike Bennett came out to the ring, and the Undisputed Kingdom they had a moment and celebrated while MJF was laid out.
Yeah, like Austin said, he covered the storyline. There's been a lot that happened between MJF and Adam Cole. Some of it went to plan, some of it didn't. I feel like they're more back on track with MJF, and Adam Cole is really where they need to be. The cool thing about MJF is first of all, he's been the Diamond Ring champion the entire time he's been in AEW.
Yep.
And so he's never lost it. So that's one of the things you can add to his accomplishments. One of the other funnier things was he was doing he was yelling at a fan in the front row, and I'm like, I figured, my guess, because I said, that looks like a 15-year-old teenager. Yeah, and he's giving this young girl, a middle finger and screaming the F-bomb. And and he's like, I'll show you. He yells at her, yells something at her, and then she yells an F-bomb back, and I'm like, yep. I just popped for it because I was like, well, there you go. That's exactly what professional wrestling is.
Yep.
Crowd interaction and fans giving you heat and all that. So that was a funny moment. I think MJF retaining the Dynamite Diamond Ring, excuse me, was good. Good match. Them getting a little bit of comeuppance against MJF, Adam Cole and his team. Excuse me again. Was good. I think there's some more to-be continued stuff. I don't know. Maybe they'll split them up. Maybe they'll have Undisputed Kingdom do something else and MJF start a feud with someone else. I don't know. I don't know if it was an ending or a beginning. Sometimes wrestling just has kind of drop-off points and they change things up. I don't know where it's going, but it felt like a little bit like a soft ending. So maybe MJF is going to go do something else and Adam Cole to go do something else. But it was a good match. Definitely a B, at least B effort, solid work, solid storytelling, all the good stuff. So that was match 4. We're up to match 5 on this card, and take it away.
Okay, match 5 it was Konosuke Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs for the AEW International title. It was an awesome match. The build up to it was awesome because it basically the build up to it was because Powerhouse Hobbs was once a part of the Don Callis family, but he got injured, and Powerhouse Hobbs felt neglected by the Don Callis family and came back, turned face, and is now feuding with the Don Callis family. And Powerhouse Hobbs challenged Konosuke Takeshita for the AEW International title. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. It told an awesome story. Like I said, awesome match. But the ending to it, Konosuke Takeshita went over and retained the AEW International title with the Falcon Arrow.
There were no bad matches on this card, but this was one of the ones that I really didn't per se care for, but it was good. I'll kind of half watched it with one eye and played on my phone on the other, doing some goofy stuff. But it was a good match. B plus. Right person won. I guess the Powerhouse Hobbs character as a babyface is going to work. It seemed like the crowd was behind him, and it seemed like the crowd couldn't stand to catch. I mean, that was good stuff. So yeah, Takeshi's still your international champion. I think it's all good there. Yeah, it's just a straightforward match. Yeah, so that's what I've got for that. Take it away for number 6.
Okay, match 6. It was Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander for the AEW TBS title. Now, mind you, this was their second encounter against each other. Their first encounter at Full Gear was amazing, and their second encounter at World's End was just as awesome. They told an awesome story. It was an awesome match. It was Mercedes Moné's second best match since she's been with AEW, because her first best match was against Chris Statlander in match 1 at Full Gear. Now, the ending to it, Mercedes Moné went over and retained the AEW TBS title with the seatbelt.
This was right now. I can't say enough about Chris Statlander because she's getting the matches that Mercedes Moné needed, and I probably would say wanted, because she came out of, once again, I said this back on the AEW Full Gear coverage. She came out of the block stumbling. She didn't have a. It took her about 6 months to actually have some good matches, and the person that had good matches with her has been Statlander. Match 1, like Austin said, amazing. This match, I think, possibly exceeded the first match. I'm not entirely sure. If you were to put them on screen beside each other and watch them at the same time, I figure you could probably see the differences right then and there and go, okay, well, this match had this match had that, and really compare them. But this one felt like, because there were a lot towards the end, it really, this is something I said about the matches, all the matches. Some of was you really couldn't tell until like the very, very end of the match who might actually win. And they really had a lot of false finishes on this card, and you were just sitting to the edge of your seat clinging. It was like a roller coaster. If you could ride a roller coaster in your living room, these matches tonight were that. Even though I didn't put over the last match as big as I could have, it still had solid characteristics of, is Powerhouse Hobbs actually going to be to catch stuff? It didn't happen, but still, that's what wrestling is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you invest in one of the characters or both of the characters and make you care about who's going to win and who's not. And so for Monet and Statlander to do that to me tonight, watching them, it was beautiful. It was great. And Mercedes going over, I'm okay with it. Like the commentator said, where does Statlander go? I mean, she's already. I mean, she already had uh, a small run, a very short run as a heel this past year against uh, the girl you like.
Let me see. Willow Nightingale.
Willow Nightingale. I couldn't remember her name for some reason, just spaced on it. Uh, she had a brief run with Willow Nightingale as a heel, but then I guess the company or Tony or whoever said, "Hey, we need you for Monet," and it's been really, really, really good for her character because I honestly think she's a better babyface. I don't really think that she should have turned heel, and they even addressed that in the commentary in the story of like she tried to make up with Willow because she's trying to beat Mercedes. I mean, there's a lot going on. Once again, another check mark here of what to be continued. But where's it going to go? Is she going to kind of John Cena it and be like, okay, yeah, I lost. I'm going to continue to do better, and eventually I'm going to beat Mercedes Moné, which that's what it feels like.
Yep.
I feel like they're building for her to actually beat Mercedes in like another match sometime, but I'm not entirely certain. But she seems to be the most solid. She seems to be the one working the best with Mercedes right now. So that might be where they're going. I'm not for certain. There's a lot going on in AEW. There's also a lot going on in other places in the world. Like that's one of the reasons I brought up Willow Nightingale is she's got some stuff going on in Japan this coming week. So I don't know.
Yep.
Just keep watching. We will keep you informed as best as we can when we get to the pay-per-views and matches that we're reviewing. And I think Mercedes' win was good. I think Statlander, once again, I don't know where her character's going, but A plus match from these two women. They crushed it. They slayed it. It was just great match tonight.
Okay, match
7.
Yep. Okay, match 7. It was Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay in a Continental Classic final match for the AEW Continental title. It was an awesome match. They told an awesome story. Now, the chemistry was there between Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay because going back to their days in New Japan, but they really delivered in their match tonight at World's End, AEW World's End. Now, the ending to it, Kazuchika Okada went over and retained the AEW Continental title with the Rainmaker. Now, after the match, as Kazuchika Okada was celebrating his victory, Christopher Daniels came out and announced that he is stepping down as interim executive vice president and announced that Kenny Omega is now going to be the interim executive vice president. And so Kenny Omega returned and came out, got the AEW Continental title, brought it down to the ring, handed it to Kazuchika Okada. They shook hands, Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada did, and then they had a little stare down. Then Kenny Omega left, and Kazuchika Okada continued the celebration.
I didn't know how that Will Ospreay was going to top his first match with Kyle Fletcher, coming into Okada, coming in to face Okada. These two, I should have lowered my expectations. I already had high expectations for the match, but they went at it. They did a few things that were just I did not see coming. This was probably the match of the night to me, and the second match of the night was actually the opening match. Those two matches to me were like those stole the show.
Yep.
In fact, after Okada won the Continental Classic, they put a graphic up saying this is his 5th tournament he's won in a row, or won.
Yep.
He's won 5 tournaments 3 in Japan or no, 4 in Japan and 1 here in the United States.
Yep.
That was one of the things they accentuated before Christopher Daniels came out. Osprey and Okada shook hands, and Okada Osprey showed respect to Okada. Okada was a little bit. It looked like he might do something, but he backed off of it, and then Will Ospreay slid outside the ring. Then Christopher Daniels came out and said what Austin said. He's no longer an EVP, and the new EVP is Kenny Omega. He comes out, grabs the title, comes down, awards the title to Okada. They have a little bit of an interchange, and then they kind of have a stare down. So it's gonna. I'm just glad. Like everyone said, everyone's glad Omega's back doing something with AEW. The match itself, just like I said, match of the night. I said there's really a main event after this. There's times that there's a match on a card, and you go, oh, there's more wrestling after this, and I've seen it happen I've seen it happen at WrestleCade one time, and I was like, I just went, oh, there's still a main event, and I kind of felt like that with this show, but they didn't. Let's just let me stop there and let Austin start it off, because we're at the main event, and I feel like I said everything up until this point has delivered. It was all really good overall. I wasn't bored. Enjoyed it. Like I said, the only match I kind of kept partially ignored. I partially ignored some of the 0 hour, but overall, it kept me entertained. We are now at the main
event. Okay, match 8, which was the main event. It was Jon Moxley versus Jay White versus Orange Cassidy versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Title. They had an awesome build-up to it. Now, the match itself was awesome, but there was a lot of interference to it because of the Death Riders interfering, especially early on in the match. But Orange Cassidy, Hangman Adam Page, and Jay White, they worked together most of the match to take out Jon Moxley, then went after each other. And like I said, awesome match, but Marina Shafir was taken out by Jay White with the Blade Runner, and Wheeler Yuta interfered at some point and attacked Jay White with the Busaiku knee. Now, like I said, it was an awesome match, but the ending to it, Jon Moxley went over and retained the AEW World Title because Jon Moxley pinned Jay White with the Death Rider. Now, after the match, the Death Riders added insult to injury and was, while Orange Cassidy and Hangman Adam Page were laid out, the Death Riders added insult to injury and attacked Jay White. Well, FTR, who were Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, came out. Then the lights went out. Once the lights came back on, Adam Copeland returned. And at rated FTR, they all went in the ring, and FTR took out Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, and then Adam Copeland and Jon Moxley ended up getting into a brawl, and then Adam Copeland laid Jon Moxley out with a spear, and then Adam Copeland got a lead pipe, and Adam Copeland applied the crossface to Jon Moxley with the lead pipe. Now, the Death Riders retreated, and Adam Copeland cut a promo and called out Jon Moxley. And rated FTR stood tall while the Death Riders retreated.
There were a few times it looked like Orange Cassidy might win the match. They gave a lot of they gave him a lot of the action. Like you said, the opening of the match was a little different for me. I thought they'd break off and go 2 by 2. which they didn't. They all focused on John Moxley first. It was a good, solid four-way fatal four-way match because most of the time those don't go long, and it really didn't. I thought it would go a little bit longer, but it didn't. There was a lot of action. There were a few things that were noticeable to note in the match. Shawn Moxley got busted up on the back of his head somehow.
Yep.
We think it was everyone's saying he got busted up on the table, the announcers table. We're not entirely sure, but that's what everyone was saying. So who knows? He may tweet it out and be like, "Hey, I got busted open on this," and it might be something different. He may not. Who knows? It's not even Twitter anymore. I keep saying Twitter. Good grief, X, whatever it is. The dumpster fire of the internet because Elon Musk bought it and turned it into a dumpster fire.
Yep.
We're not going to get political in here. Yep. We're going to avoid that. We're going a different route. So back to the match. Let's see. There was some good interactions between the wrestlers, the big finisher spots, and some. Then they started pulling the refs out, which was like, okay, well they didn't. Well, they waited until the last match to do all that stuff. I don't remember any match doing specifically that until the end of the last match. So they waited to do that. There was a lot of shenanigans with the Death Riders because basically, like the commentary said, it turned it where it was a fatal four-way. It kind of turned it into a handicap match for everyone else because the Death Riders kept interfering. Mm-hmm. I don't mind Shawn Moxley as world champion. I'm not certain what his agenda is. But one of the better things, like I told Austin, this is the best thing Marina Shafir has done in professional wrestling since she entered it. Yep. Her being the heavy for John Moxley is the best thing she's done. Everything else since then, I think, has been garbage. Yep. If you like Marina Shafir, fine, that's great. I have not been exactly a fan of her until now. I'm actually okay with what she's doing. Mm-hmm. This makes sense. This looks good. This fits whatever she's meant to be in wrestling. It fits. It's working. Let her do this. Let her do this the rest of her career. I don't care if she ever wrestles again. Her wrestling is not mediocre. It's somewhere on it's slightly above mediocre. It's fair. Her wrestling is fair. I watched her last year at WrestleCade, not this past year, last year, and she defeated Masha Slamovich, and I was so underwhelmed with her. I was like, nope. I would have rather seen Masha somehow beat the tar out of Marina Shafir. But that's not the way it worked out at WrestleCade. And I suspended my belief. I still don't believe in Marina Shafir's work. I'm kind of taking a crap on Marina Shafir right now. And does she deserve it? I'm not entirely sure she deserves it. But like I said, she's making a solid recovery doing what she's doing right now. And so I'm like, okay, there's some saving grace here. So I'm trying to give her the grace of she is actually doing something important right now. And it's making sense. So that's where I am with Marina Shafir. Everything else, just kind of give her a cutoff point until she joined the Death Riders. That's where Marina Shafir's career really started. Even though she's been wrestling for like 3 or 4 years now, 5 years. Yep. Since like 2019, since Ronda Rousey showed up, okay? It's been at least 10 years since Ronda Rousey showed up, so somewhere in there. Anyways, enough of Marina Shafir. She's doing what she's doing. John Moxley retained the title. The return of Edge, which kind of overshadowed the return of Kenny Omega. The return of FTR. But I agree with what happened with them. I like that they're paired up against the Death Riders. They announced the match on Dynamite this Wednesday, the brand new media rights deal, where they are simulcasting on both TBS and Max. Death Riders versus the rated FTR. We watched the media scrum, which was after all the shenanigans and everything. Edge calling out Death Riders, and they said this, and Adam Copeland said, "Look, this is the realest extensions of us as you're probably going to see in our wrestling careers."
Yep.
They said the best. They said the best characters are extensions of the real people.
Yep.
Well, I feel it. Like they said, they're all best friends. They all live in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yep.
And that was one of the things they said. They said during the media scrum was Tony Khan could have been anywhere else in the United States to run the first show of the simulcast era and the new media rights deal. They could have went to Chicago, New York, Miami, Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco. They could have went to Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas. They could have went to bigger cities in the United States, but they went to Asheville, North Carolina, which suffered a major tragedy this past year, flooding. And so they're doing fund on top of them going there to do the media rights streaming and simulcast and kicking off 2025 on Wednesday, New Year's Day. It's almost the 6-year anniversary of AEW.
Yep.
There's a lot going on in AEW. So to sum it all up, to put a nice little bow on this package, it was a great, amazing, phenomenal pay-per-view.
Yep.
I definitely give it an A+.
Mm-hmm.
All the matches were really good. The stuff that's going on in AEW going forward from this pay-per-view seems glowing, seems positive, seems upbeat. If you are shitting on the product, you need to get a new perspective.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There's certain wrestlers, like I said, that I'm not really connected with. But past that, I feel like the product is hitting, even though it hit a low point in 2024, I think it's starting to curve out. I think it's starting to go back up.
Smaller venues and everything.
It's starting to recover because they're starting to switch up. They're starting to switch up the dynamic. They're starting to run smaller venues, not as large of venues. They're starting to readjust to what's happened with things that happened in 2024. But I think, like I said, I think the growth is starting again, especially with the new package, them having a global deal similar to the WWE Netflix deal that's starting this year too. They're on a streaming platform, but they're also still traditional TV. So is WWE. Except Raw, their shows, they've got one show on streaming and one show on cable. AEW's got dual exposure, so there's a lot of things happening in AEW that seem to point up, not down.
Right.
So, Austin, what do you got for your summary? How do you feel about everything that we just talked about?
I give just like you said, I give the show an A+. I give the pay-per-view an A+. It was awesome from start to finish. Now besides the matches, Renee Paquette conducted a couple interviews. One with Kazuchika Okada, talking about his victory against Ricochet and how he's going to retain the Continental title. Then she conducted one with Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay gloated about his victory with Kyle Fletcher and talked about how he was going to win the Continental title. And that was basically what happened with those. And now, just like Jonathan said, AEW, it's starting to go up again, smaller venues, and their deal with Max is going to be a positive for them, just like WWE's deal with Netflix is going to be a positive for them. Now, the next pay-per-view is going to be AEW Wrestle Dynasty. That's going to be on January 5th, but that's on a Sunday. I'm not going to be able to watch it because I got to get up at 4 o'clock the next morning to go to work. So our next pay-per-view, mine and Jonathan's next pay-per-view, we will be back for WWE Royal Rumble on February 1st, 2025.
Yep, mark your calendars. Wrestle Love starts out the year with Royal Rumble, February 1st, 2025. You never know. We might actually end up going to it. like get the nosebleed seats and go watch it. And then we'll have to cut a promo or do a live stream at the hotel or on the way back home from Indianapolis to do the recap. Never know. A lot is coming up for the new year. 2024 flew by. Maybe we can make a few good memories in 2025 and slow it down a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. But for Wrestle Love, for Austin Honecker, aka Pro Wrestling Guy 1995, on Instagram, I am John Fun, JONFUN, all across the internet and the world. But this is the Wrestle Love Wrestling YouTube channel. If you like what you're watching, like, share, subscribe. Watch us after most of the pay-per-views. We cover as much as we can, but like he said, we're busy. We've got wrestling shows. We've got work, real life jobs to do.
Yep.
We can't always create as much content as we want or like. If you support us, guess what? We'll quit our jobs and make content 24/7, 365, because guess what? If you pay us, we'll make it. So
Yep.
that's the simple philosophy. This is the free stuff. We're doing this on our own time, but if you need us, you want us, we will find a way to get to you or get to us, and we will make it happen. But for Wrestle Love, John Fun, Austin Honecker, I don't know why I want to say it that way.
It's all right.
What do you say, Austin?
I will catch your ass down the road.
See ya!
Peace out.